This is the season when much of the world turns its attention towards miracles. Across cultures and centuries, human beings have looked to this time of year to retell stories of wonder. Stories from ancient faiths, stories rooted in nature, and stories rising out of our everyday lives. So today, we ask, what do we mean when we speak of miracles? And perhaps, even more importantly, where might we find them right now? Traditionally, miracles have been described as events with a divine source, events with a divine source, happenings that seemed to reach beyond the usual laws of nature, touching something sacred, mysterious, or inexplainable. These stories of extraordinary light breaking into ordinary life are woven into the holidays we celebrate, whether their origins are religious, cultural, or grounded in the rhythms of the natural world. So this morning, let's begin by turning to some of the traditional miracle stories that shape the season. Of course, the story of Hanukkah that speaks of a single flame that burned far longer than what could ever be scientifically possible, that oil could last for 8 days. This unexpected endurance of light became a symbol of hope, faith, and spiritual resilience, a reminder of what is small can last and what seems insufficient can sustain us, and perhaps that there is a connection to something greater that is here loving us and looking after us. Christmas tells of a child's birth in a stable whom believers understand as Emmanuel, God amongst us, a symbol again of hope for humanity and a belief that there is something greater than us supporting us. Along with his birth came the story of a miraculous star in the northern sky guiding seekers towards a message of hope and love. And of course, this is the time of winter solstice, the turning of the year when darkness begins to yield to light, which to those, especially thousands of years ago, saw this as a miracle, that this could happen every year on this very same date. Miraculous. For early human beings, nature was a strange and sometimes beautiful and largely unpredictable thing. It often caused a frightening experience to people. That concept of the supernatural natural was seen in these events and attributed to gods and early civilizations. So these stories, these religious stories, endure not because everybody agrees on the details, but because something in each tale speaks to the human spirit. When the sacred touches the ordinary, we feel hope, guidance, and a sense that something greater is at work. We Unitarians are an analytical bunch, aren't we? Questioning a lot. And we often wrestle with the word miracle, like we spoke about last time I was with you, wrestling with the word blessing. And we're always questioning that connection with the divine, a divine source beyond this world. We live in an interesting time, though, now. A time where science and spirituality are finding their common ground. The gift in this is we don't have to leave our reasoning behind to enter into the season of miracles, because we are clearly surrounded by that. In modern perspectives, miracles include an unexpected event that defies explanation. A recent poll in the United States said 79% of Americans believe in miracles. And 65% of Americans believe that miracles are not necessarily attributed to God. How's that, Unitarian Universalists? Yes, interesting. A miracle in its deepest source is not a suspension of natural law. It is an awakening to the wonder already present in the world. It's a shift in perception that lets us see life with fresh eyes, with awe, and with gratitude. Have any of you heard of Dr. Bernie Siegel?
Mm-hmm.
Raise your hand if you have.
Of course.
Anybody online? Yes, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
He's a friend of our family.
Oh.
And he's done much work with my brother Lionel together.
Oh.
So let's just take his work, for example, as we speak about miracles. Dr. Bernie Siegel is the author of Love, Medicine, and Miracles. He's a renowned oncologist who has witnessed what he called modern-day miracles. Patients recovering in ways that cannot be explained by medicine. Dr. Siegel emphasizes that miracles happen not just through treatment, but through hope, love, courage, and in engaging and igniting the human spirit. Dr. Siegel asks us to see miracles not as rare or distant, but as possibilities that open when we shift how we see the world and how we see ourselves. He tells us that miracles often begin with a choice, the choice to move away from fear, from resentment, towards love, forgiveness, and hope. I'm going to share this final quote of his. He states that the mind can influence the body in ways modern medicine cannot yet measure. Miracles happen every day, not because of chance, but because people believe, act, and open themselves up fully. And he wrote this book back in the 1980s. Isn't that right? I brought a few books with me that connect to miracles that I'll talk about, some of them during the service. But a fabulous book if you get the chance to take a look at it. Another book about miracles and transformations is written by a woman named Anita Moorjani, and her story is called Dying to Be Me. Anybody hear of this book? This was a bestseller. Amazing book. I had that and her sequel, but I must have lent it to someone, or I would have brought it. And she shares another example of modern miracles. And so this was her story. She was being treated for terminal cancer, and she fell into a coma at the very end of her life. And at the time she was in a coma, she had a near-death experience. And in this near-death experience, she had a revelation. And the revelation that came to her was that much of her illness was tied to her fears and self-doubt. Mm-hmm. And she was revived. And when she was revived, she recalled this revelation, and it became part of her. And this insight impacted her so much that her body, which was covered with tumors the size of lemons, began to heal. Rapidly and miraculously. She had just a little medical treatment. They had said, we could make you last just a little longer. She fully recovered. Mm-hmm. She wrote a book. She's still here. Look her up online if you catch her on YouTube. Anita Moorjani. She shares, a miracle is when your mind gets out of the way so that divinity can do what it needs to do. And divinity might not be a God divinity, or it could be the divinity within you. Let go of what you want and receive what is truly yours, she says. Her story reminds us that miracles aren't always about fixing something broken. Often they're about awakening to courage, love, and wholeness. Anybody ever hear of the Course in Miracles?
Yes.
Yes. Here we go. Here's a textbook right here. This is the Course. And since we're discussing miracles, you can't bypass this. One of the main teachings in the Course of Miracles, often shared by Marianne Williamson, is that a miracle is a shift in perception. A miracle is a shift in perception. And when we look at the wisdom of Dr. Siegel and Anita Moorjani, both emphasize a moving from fear, limitation, and doubt towards forgiveness, love, and hope. A miracle in this sense is not an external event, it's an internal transformation. It happens when we see with the eyes of love rather than ego's fear. Every act of compassion, courage, or kindness can be a miracle. So I was flying home from Ireland a couple days ago, and it was a long flight, and I glance over and somebody's watching a movie that most of you probably know. It's a Wonderful Life. All right. And I thought, oh, let me catch at least part of that film before we land, and I did. And I saw the miracle that happens. We all know the miracle. And many people attribute the miracle to Clarence, the angel that shows up, right? That didn't have his wings yet. But if you really look at the film, it's not Clarence. The miracle is the shift in George Bailey. From a person that said, I wish I was never born, to a person that awoke into the gift of his life. And everything changed. Well, it's kind of the same thing in the story of the Grinch, isn't it? You all know the Grinch story. Miserable, unhappy Grinch, picking on his poor little dog. He had the story says that his heart was 2 sizes too small for his body. And then he had an encounter with Cindy Lou Who. And in that moment, he awoken, and it says that his heart grew 3 times the size in one day. And so the miracle was not Cindy Lou Who, it was his shift. Yeah, it's amazing how those things affect us. Another form of miracles in our lives that it's a topic that often comes up with you all or other people as a minister is stories that I've heard from people that are not religious but about events that they deem as miracles. Many of you have shared stories that are quite miraculous. Moments when they've actually felt a loved one, or loved ones or ancestors or someone on the other side connecting with them in some way that was more than a coincidence. My friend Joyce feels her mom communicates with her through license plates. Other people have experiences with their loved ones that contact them, and we can laugh at these things, but who knows where the truth really lies, right? Indigenous people live their lives in relationship with their ancestors. They pay attention to what goes on around them. They look at those coincidences in their life. They look at what's happening around them, and it validates them. And in that awareness, in those moments that we normally brush off, they see the miracle. Many teachers suggest that if we paid more attention, we would see miracles around us all the time. I don't know if I've ever shared this story with all of you. My father used to always tell me if you had a question to open a book, a holy book, ask the question to any page and your answer would be there. This is something I've talked with Lisa Hockman about. And it was my dad's birthday, and I was missing him terribly. I went up to my prayer space, and I said, Dad, just let me know if you could hear me, if you're still around me. And I don't know if I've shared this story before. And I glanced over, and there was this book, Jesus Calling, that somebody gave me. And I never opened it. It wasn't really my thing. But I knew my father would have really loved this book. So I thought, let me use that book. And I opened it, to a page. Never cracked the book open before. And the first words on this page said, I am your father.
Oh, wow.
I am your father.
Oh.
I thought, I guess every page starts with that. There wasn't another page in the book. Could be a coincidence. It could be a miracle.
Huh.
Albert Einstein shares the following perception on miracles. There are only two ways to live your life. One is though nothing is a miracle, and the other as though everything is a miracle. Think of the trees in the winter. They lose their leaves. They seem lifeless. And then they're rejuvenated. They're back. Stronger, better, grown. It's part of the miracle of life, the ordinary process. Consider our human experience, moments when we've Consider the human experience, moments when we've healed from illnesses, when we've overcome addiction, forgiven a deep hurt, found the courage to start again. These moments can feel miraculous because they reflect the hidden strength of life, the resilience of the human spirit, the love that sustains us. Perhaps the greatest miracle of all is that we're here, that we're alive, with consciousness and the capacity to love, to connect, and to give. So I invite you in the busyness and noise of December to slow down enough to notice the miracles unfolding, bless you, unfolding around you. Perhaps it's the sparkle in the eyes of somebody you love. Perhaps it's the quiet of a winter morning, the resilience of a community, the beauty of breath, the warmth of love, the surprising strength in your own spirit. The season of miracles does not ask us to believe in magic. It asks us to believe in possibility. It asks us to believe in one another. It asks us to trust that even in the darkest times, light is being born within us and around us. May we welcome that light. May we become that light. And may the miracles of this season open our eyes and widen our hearts once again. May it be so. And so it is. Thank you, everyone. If you like this video, please like us on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click on the bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. Thank you.